Yeah, because sometimes my friends think I'm funny, but you know, I'm just funny with them because, you know, you just have to be funny for them sometimes. Because it gets so bleak otherwise. So like tonight, I work at a radio station before I come here. And that's why I get all my news. Because I'm reading the news, you know, all the time. And so sometimes I see things that might be funny later on or whatever. But sometimes I don't do the work to make them work or anything. But, you know, anyway, so some friend called me tonight at work because I'm an actor, she's an actor. She wanted to go to an audition, but she was sort of she wasn't prepared. I was just trying to save her from, you know, taking it too seriously. I know that's really not funny, but it's not supposed to be funny. There's a lot of crazy crap that happens in the news, and, you know, I know you guys, like, are on your little digital devices all the time, and that you're so in touch, but sometimes you don't really hear the news, you know, because you're doing that. And sometimes I find out about crazy things in the news because I have this job where I read the news. And like, so tonight, you know, I mean, well, there's this thing about this poor lady who, I didn't even read this till just now. So this judge has taken away a woman's house because it was sold at auction because it was over $6.30 in unpaid interest. You know, just crazy things like that. I know that's not funny. I know, it could be funny. It's not funny. So the thing is that, you know, Chernobyl happened a long time ago. And you guys are probably not born when Chernobyl happened, right? Probably the oldest person in the world. But so that's like 20 whatever years ago, 28 years, I don't know. And then this Fukushima thing is still like going on, you know, and sometimes it's buried in the news. It's not as important as this Clippers thing, because that's just sort of flashy, you know, whatever. Somebody flashing somebody. But I mean, this Chernobyl thing, I mean, here's a work opportunity. I mean, if anybody wanted to go get a job, this is the place to have a job, because they have to clean up this crap. And it's just this amazing thing. They built this big, like, $1.5 billion thing to put over it, and this is like how many years later, and you know, this, I mean, people have made their whole life out of just, you know, agonizing about this, and it's in the Ukraine area, you know, which is, I mean, this is like, that's the stuff that comes out later in the news. You're like, who cares about Ukraine? Well, that's where Chernobyl is, you know, I mean, it was, or whatever. So there's a big opportunity there, because, you know, if you want wide open spaces, that's where they are. And just, you know, thinking about the future and stuff. Okay, so like really, I'm just mostly interested in who's going to win the Kentucky Derby. Really, I'm open for tips because I get really excited about the Derby and it's coming up, and I have to do my homework. Sometimes I'm really lucky, like my first time I won a lot of money, so I'm like totally hooked on the Derby. But you know, so this year it's supposed to be like this California horse that's the big book, but I didn't get to read this at work because I had to read about that racist guy, you know, just because he owns some team or something. I mean, shit, sports is so full of it, and who cares about this crap? So anyway, this little horse, well, you know, he's the favored horse, and I know sometimes it is the favored horse that wins, like Big Brown won. And he was owned by the UPS company and all those people and all that stuff. But anyway, so I get signs about the horses. Sometimes I do. And if I don't win, it's just that I misinterpreted the signs. So I'm just on it. I just really have to, you know, like really interpret the signs that I get really the correct way. So I have this book. I haven't gotten one recently, but about which horses are running this year, and there's always 20 of them. I mean, I guess there's always 20 that get, you know, somehow they let them in there. And they have this point system. They don't even have to audition, you know. But they get in there, and so anyway, and then, you know, I'm just really, I'm excited, but I haven't done my homework, so I'm like really nervous about it. So Calvin Burrell is going to be there again. You know, do you know about Calvin Burrell, the guy that wore rail? You know, if he's like in one of the first spots, then he's like right at the rail. And he just takes all those risks of like, you know, going as fast as he can without touching the rail, and it's so exciting. No, it's not. Okay, so anyway, I don't even know what horse he's on, but I noticed his name he's in there, and he's going to just cause a lot of trouble, I just know that. So, anyway, there is this horse called Wildcat Red, and I think he might win, or all I know right now, and I haven't like studied all of them yet, and I will. But because I've just been getting signs about the color red, and because there was this little bird, and I was shoveling, you know, that last time that the snow came down, and it probably didn't come down in the city, but I live far away, so we had this horrible snowstorm. I had to shovel, so I went out and clombed through the snow and did that, and then when I came back in one of my footsteps, there was this little bird. It was dead. And somebody that I told the story to said, well, it was in your footstep, you probably stepped on it. But I didn't kill the bird. I did not kill that bird. It didn't have any blood on it, but it was yellow on its stomach, and it had like olive green on its rump and sort of gray, wings of gray. And on top of its head, there was this little red, like a paintbrush mark of this little, like it had been painted with red, you know, like just its feathers were that way, and I don't know what the bird was. But I took that to mean that's a sign. I think that has got to be a sign. There was no nest above it, you know, it didn't just like fall there, but it was really there. And I was going to bury it, but I didn't get around to it. Because I wanted to look at it some more, and I wanted somebody to tell me what it was. And that ended in a Google search where there was all these other interesting words, but anyway, I just think that's a sign. I'm just telling you this is like, don't spread it around because, you know, I mean, then the odds will go down or whatever. But I'm just saying, when we got on the track, we had a lot of fun. So anyway, so what I like to do is, you know, I just like to lie on the ground and have somebody like say the names of the horses to me, and I repeat the names of the horses. This is after I've done my homework. It doesn't work unless you do your homework. And then it just comes to you. It just like leaps out at you like it's got to be this one, you know. I mean, actually, you only need to know the one. You only need to know the winner. You don't need to know how they're all, but you don't have to do the superfecta. You don't have to be that good. You don't have to even know anything. That's the thing. That's what's so fun about it, is like it's, you know, and it's really ethical gambling because you're keeping this wonderful horse industry alive and these beautiful animals. So I'm just making a pitch for the Derby, and you can go out to Canterbury and it's fun. And so that's really what I'm all about right now, is that, and everything else is just a distraction from me doing it. And because I just get really addicted to it. It's a great addiction. And I mean, it's just something you might want to think about. So actually, you know, so I know what's causing all the bad weather. I mean, I don't know if you think this is bad weather. I think we're having bad weather, and we have been having for about the past 10 years actually, but nobody really pays attention to it. Because you wouldn't do anything to change it if you could, because if I told you that you're causing the bad weather, and if I told you that it was because the cell phone towers are causing bad weather, you would not give up your cell phones. I just know you wouldn't. Because you don't care, because the tornadoes aren't happening where you are, you know, they're somewhere else. And you don't believe me anyway. Because our economy is all, you know, tied up with these devices, and you know, I mean, President Obama has not been telling people how great it was that he had a BlackBerry anymore, but that's because he's on to the next new thing, which is probably going to be, you know, I mean, maybe they could find some wonderful thing from all the radiation, right? Maybe they could invent the next new thing, and it could come from all that radiation. I mean, really, we don't exactly keel over from the radiation, do we? But, oh my God, I'm just really not believing at all. This is really I'm just sort of a stand-up tragedian. That's really what I am. And there's not much market for that because a joke is a job. And I don't do jokes, so I'm lucky to have a job. I was personal. I mean, it was a person that works where I work, and everybody's like just looking at me. Every day they're looking at me like, they're not going to retire till I retire? And I'm just like not going to do it. I'm not going to give them the satisfaction. So it's a very bleak world, you know, but this is kind of a cool place. I'm glad to be here, and I'm so happy to be, you know, here with an audience and the Big Black Giant. You guys are pretty cool, and I don't even, you know why I don't know why I said this. It's just, he is so nice that I just thought I would take some of your time. So that's that. And I don't sing as well as those guys do, so I can't do that. I don't know what I can do really well, but
it's
over
time.
I mean, the last time I was in class, let me just tell you about my class experience. I just did this scene in class. It's a play about a woman who's like up for parole out of, she did her time, and so it's a scene between her and her parole officer. And at the end of the play, well, the end of the play is that these people have been watching the scene through the secret little two-way mirror thing like they do, you know, and the witnesses and all the victims and all that jazz. And so I thought it was really a neat idea to have the scene be like where, okay, so there's a mirror, and I made all the people watch the scene through the mirror, like as if they were the people that were in that other little room. It was a great idea, but you know, I got crucified for it. But that's okay. That's okay. So, well, maybe, you know, sometime in the future, now that I'm not even afraid of just standing here being bad, then maybe sometime I'll have an idea.